Welcome to the 2012 Tualatin State of the City. I'm Lou Ogden, and I'm privileged to serve as your mayor. People here love this community. We hear that frequently, and even more we see it by all they do to give to this community. What really does make this community a great place to live, work, and play?
Everywhere you go, you meet nice people.
Interesting place to work.
The neighborhoods are unique.
People know your name and you can get to know them pretty easily.
It has to be the people. Tualatin is a great place to run a business.
It's 4.8 miles from my home.
Good, hard-working people.
It's the Crawfish Festival.
Youth programs are amazing.
I love our volunteers. They're wonderful.
I love everything about the Tualatin community.
So people choose Tualatin to live here because of the small town feeling and the closeness, the access to big city amenities. They choose to work here because it's a supportive business environment with strategic partners that create quality employment. And we play here because of our award-winning parks and our superlative library. And these all combine to make Tualatin the best city south of the North Pole. You know, we had many great accomplishments in 2011, including rebuilding the north part of Community Park, which included a new dog park. We received hundreds of thousands of dollars for expanding buildings, planning our future. We held our first police academy for citizens, and we initiated the Citizen Involvement Organization. Yet it's really the financial health and stability of any community that's the cornerstone to a thriving city, and the same is true for its city government. Tualatin is on very sound financial footing. It's interesting to note that our tax rate is $2.26 per thousand of assessed value. You know, that's among the lowest of any city in the region. It's a third to a half less than many of our neighboring cities. That's right, your city property taxes on your home or on your business in another city might be twice as much as they are in Tualatin. We pride ourselves providing high quality services in a very efficient and lean manner. Of your total property tax bill, less than 15% of it goes to the city of Tualatin government. In fact, more than a third of your tax bill funds the school district, about 18% funds the county, and compare that to only 15% for the city of Tualatin. It's a pretty good deal financially. And what do you get for that? Well, you get a general fund which pays for our police, library, parks and rec, administration, planning, and physical operations. By any measure, most people agree that these services received from your city are an exceptional value. But property taxes alone don't tell the whole story financially. In fact, just under half of our general fund comes from property tax, which really is about enough to pay just for our police department. The rest comes from franchise fees on your utility bills, shared revenues from the state and other government entities, fees, and transfers from other departments. So while the sagging economy has impacted revenue from new growth, most revenues in Tualatin have held steady. So on the expenditure side of the ledger, personnel costs count for about 3/4 of the general fund. So that's the folks that work here in the city. And so we've held salaries tight. Of course, we've had to deal with increasing costs of benefits and retirement plans, which increase at a higher rate.
So I think the state of Tualatin is really good. I think we're financially sound. We've been financially prudent and looking at our fiscal health. It is a great place to live. We have low taxes and we have a safe community. It's a great place to work. The business community gives back and the city works well with the city of Tualatin. And it's a great place to play and with our festivals and the events that happen. So I think the state of Tualatin is in great shape.
But in all, we run government well within our means, and we maintain a prudent reserve. As a result, we've received superior ratings from the General Finance Accounting Office every year. You can rest assured your tax dollars are prudent and are well used. Let's talk a little bit about the demographics and some of the development. Here's Tualatin by the numbers. Interesting to note that half of our community is residential, half of it is commercial and industrial, both in size and in the property taxes paid. Nearly 2/3 of the households in Tualatin have an annual income of over $50,000 a year, and nearly 1/3 of the households in Tualatin have an annual income of over $100,000 a year. The depth of talent and commitment by the folks who live and work in this city always astound me, but it shouldn't. This is what Tualatin is made up of. And you know what? 84% of people surveyed rate the quality of services and the quality of life in Tualatin as good or even excellent. From a business standpoint, we have nearly 1,400 business licenses. We provide, or our businesses provide, over 20,000 jobs, creating an annual payroll of just short of $1 billion a year. So how do those industries break down? We have a number of clusters. Our largest cluster are the service industry, and paramount among that industry cluster are health services. In Tualatin, we have Legacy Meridian Park Medical Center, which is our #1 employer, providing over 800 jobs. They're joined in Tualatin here by Kaiser Permanente and Providence Health Center and a number of specialty healthcare providers.
Because of the hospital being here, it's attracted other providers. So that's why you see physicians around here, laboratories, physical therapists, and then of course other clinic services. We don't think that the residents of Tualatin or the South Metro area should have to leave their community for access to really world-class care. So we look to the future to make sure that we can provide those services.
Together, over 141 healthcare-related businesses creating over 2,200 jobs. The next largest segment is retail trade. The flagship of our retail cluster is Bridgeport Village. They provide over 1,000 jobs and are the #1 property taxpayer in the city at over $1.5 million a year of taxes paid.
You know, it's an experience is the bottom line of what we're trying to provide here at Bridgeport. It's not just the stores, it's the playground, it's the free summer concerts, it's all the events that we do, it's the potted plants that hanging baskets we have in the summer. We really want to make it an experience, and we want you to come here and hang out with your family and your kids, and it's really important to us that we are part of the neighborhood and people feel like we're, you know, the community.
The next largest group is manufacturing.
Gaylord has been in the Tualatin area since the late 80s. But strongly committed to being here. We like the location. We have many loyal and dedicated employees that service our business very well here and take care of our customers. So it's a great place to be. Personally, I've been here about 2 years. I found the community very warm and welcoming and very open to new ideas. And that's been fun to be a part of that. So it's a great place for our business to be.
Novella Systems leads our high-tech cluster as the #2 employer in the city with over 650 employees and the #2 property taxpayer at over $1.25 million of taxes paid per year. This year is the year of transportation in Tualatin.
The Transportation System Plan is a long-range plan that will guide future investments for the city of Tualatin. It outlines policies and projects to protect and enhance quality of life in Tualatin. It integrates our plans into the Regional Transportation System Plan. Our plan must balance the needs of drivers, public transportation, freight, bicycles, and pedestrians. It can also be an important tool for reflecting community values and protecting what makes Tualatin a good place to live. That's why we want to hear from you.
The public involvement process for the Tualatin Transportation System Plan update is an opportunity for all of our residents, the businesses, and the transportation users to learn about and participate in the development of this new plan. First, we're starting with understanding the community's concerns. Then we will be deliberating and discussing the options for solutions, and finally developing a recommendation that will be voted on by the City Council. There are so many ways to get involved in this process. You can always go to our website, www.tualatintsp.org. There will be the most up-to-date information. You can provide feedback through our comment form, and there's also an interactive map where you can share your thoughts. You can also join our project email list to receive information about upcoming events and meetings. We want to hear from you.
The Southwest Corridor Study is a high-capacity transit corridor study involving Tualatin, Tigard, Portland, Sherwood, Metro, Washington County, the Oregon Department of Transportation.
Well, the Southwest Corridor actually extends from Portland State University to Sherwood, and it includes Tualatin, Tigard, Sherwood, parts of Beaverton, parts of Portland. It's actually one of the most intense employment corridors in this region. If you look at all of the employment in that region, it's also been identified as the next high-capacity transit corridor, which could mean bus rapid transit or light rail. And so the connections between the communities and the development within those communities is a major undertaking that will impact people's lives for decades to come.
But we're looking to see exactly how Tualatin best interfaces with that and what that routing might be through Tualatin. So to that end, we're also doing Linking Tualatin, which is a detailed approach of determining Tualatin's transit needs with regard to the Southwest Corridor Plan, evaluating the requirements of our employers, our commuters, our residents, and our service industries.
Transportation is the heart of planning, really. Getting people from here to there, getting people from wherever they are to what you're trying to get them to, and then out again, is really the backbone of a neighborhood or an industrial or commercial area.
Basalt Creek Transportation Refinement will determine the alignment for 124th Avenue Extension south to Tonkin Road and the alignment easterly from there to I-5.
When you look at the region, meaning Multnomah and Washington and Clackamas counties, you quickly understand that transportation dollars come into this region, and then they're looked at in terms of what the regional investments are. Within the region, then obviously you have the counties, and we try at the county level look at what the investments might be to enhance interconnectivity between our various cities, between our population centers. 124th South, we're looking at three projects in our MSDIP. There is some challenge in trying to understand the needs of various cities, Wilsonville, Sherwood, and Tualatin, and so we're collaboratively looking at how we might create an infrastructure network down there that will accommodate the growth. There is a lot of transportation things that are starting to happen in Tualatin as the growth again continues.
As the state of Oregon evaluates the feasibility of high-speed rail from Eugene to the state of Washington, we are participating to be sure Tualatin's interests are represented regarding both opportunities and impacts. In all of these transportation planning efforts, we are engaging you. We've appointed a transportation task force of residents and employers to sort of oversee these efforts. And we will depend heavily on small working groups where you will come and you will make the call on the needs, the alternatives, and the implementations of the solutions. So I encourage you to please watch closely the communications from our website, through our emails, and other means of communication. When these working groups are scheduled, volunteer, come down, spend an evening. It'll be a little bit like SimCity, only you get to actually create something that you'll be able to use. The 2011 legislative session in Salem brought a couple of great successes to Tualatin. Through the efforts of our state representative, Julie Parrish, and our state senator, Richard Devlin, who hails from Tualatin, we were successful in getting two significant pieces of legislation passed by the state legislature and signed by Governor Kitzhaber.
Well, House Bill 3225 is really about how do we work on transportation infrastructure for the long haul. That bill was designed so that we could start looking at transportation infrastructure through the Basalt Creek area. It certainly, as we work through and delve through the issues with 3225, we realize that has other implications for all of the border communities that are in the metro government region that are kind of in that urban-rural conversation, and Tualatin still has some land that's kind of in that rural space. How do we look at preserving resources for the future, but also leverage the resources we have? And so it allowed us to engage in that conversation, and with its passage, we can start to look at transportation infrastructure into that industrial area, and that will create jobs for local Oregonians. So we were excited to see that pass. That was a good bipartisan bill. Mayor Ogden was a huge part, an instrumental part of passing that with us and showing the need for that. So we're pleased to be able to look at things that we can do in the legislature that support economic development, and that was one of them. You can't get to good, strong business development if you don't have the transportation infrastructure, and that bill is probably one of a few coming down the road where, as we look at things like how do we fund the Basalt Creek project, and how do we fund roads, and how do we relieve some of the pressure on Tualatin Sherwood Highway, and how do we create new access points that just make it easier for citizens to live and work and shop and play in our communities, and it starts with good roads.
House Bill 3225 and Senate Bill 219 were both bills that originated right here in Tualatin, which enhance our ability to grow jobs in Tualatin and potentially throughout the region and across the state of Oregon. So these bills were just examples of how our city works hard to create and advance an environment that fosters quality businesses with well-paying jobs while maintaining community values, strong protections for the environment, and demanding a high level of quality in the businesses, in the buildings, and in the infrastructure. So for example, we've used urban renewal to create manufacturing park on Leventon Drive. Also, the city is engaged with the Chamber of Commerce and the business community in economic development. One example is economic gardening. Working together, we've assisted 7 local businesses in expanding markets and increasing sales. Our economic development staff continue to recruit new businesses to town. Building activity actually continued in Tualatin during 2011 despite the sluggish economy. The number of building permits actually increased by 17% over the previous year. Now, most of these were due to tenant improvements rather than new building construction. There were major new projects in Tualatin, including McLean Foods and Robinson Crossing and Powen Corporation, combining for over $20 million in new construction.
The decision to move here was really based on our people. We wanted to find a good sense of community and a good balance where our teammates had a short distance change from our old facility to our new facility. To us it was critical. The Tualatin-Sherwood Road and the proximity to I-5 was critical to us because of our transportation business. I think it's also important having the good community you have because hopefully we can then draw on people from the community to work for us. Well, when I spoke with the city initially, we had good constructive meetings on the beginning. During the construction, our general superintendent had good experiences in getting permitting done and getting the construction process done in a timely fashion. So I think it worked well for us.
The city has done a really good job at having a really good mix of commercial, industrial, residential. So the tax base is pretty good here. So I see Tualatin and this whole region to continue to keep growing where other areas of the metro area might not.
I just think if anyone is on the fence about where they want to expand their business, grow their business, start a business, Tualatin is a fabulous city for that. And I would wholly recommend it, and we would talk with anybody that wanted to chat about it.
This year, we invested in technology to help solve some of our traffic problems. We installed intelligent stoplights on Tualatin-Sherwood Road from Teton to I-5, including the communication hardware and the cameras designed to enable the lights to talk to each other, to record traffic volumes, and to regulate the green and the red time to enhance flow. Now, though it may not seem you can zoom down Tualatin-Sherwood Road at rush hour, we actually have reduced travel times at all hours of the day as a result of this technology, including during the afternoon and morning peak times. Another very popular enhancement are the blinking yellow left turn arrows. These permissive, unprotected left turns allow folks to make their left turn against the oncoming traffic when it's safe to do so. And I have to tell you, of all the things that we've done in many years in terms of traffic management, that's the one thing that people say, we hit a home run. Tualatin Police put a large emphasis on community policing. Now, this strategy is to become closely familiar with the neighborhoods and the folks who live here, help educate them and inform folks on how they can be more attentive to unsafe situations and more inclined and more able to report suspicious activities so that police can intervene early. The result is less crime, quicker response of leads, and greater trust between citizens and our officers. In addition, the Tualatin Police host a number of community events, including 20 simultaneous block parties. And we call that National Night Out. You know, this year we had nearly 1,000 residents participate. We also inaugurated Citizens Police Academy, where citizens become highly engaged in some of the hands-on training that police actually do, including self-defense, emergency operation, and firearm safety. Yep, folks had the chance to actually hit, kick, and shoot. 2011 was the first full year of photo red light in Tualatin. The criteria for selection of intersections for this enforcement include high crash rates. At the Tualatin-Sherwood Road and Avery intersection, crashes have reduced by 4-fold. I want you to know that every citation is first reviewed by a police officer for validity before it's being issued. And you can even request a copy of your own video if you happen to be involved in such an infraction. Tualatin is fortunate to be served by Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. Our fire district is a premier fire services provider recognized nationally for the quality of service that they provide, the highly advanced practices and techniques that they employ. In addition to fire suppression and emergency medical response, out of the newly expanded Tualatin Station, Tualatin houses one of the state's hazardous materials teams. TVF&R also partners with other agencies to prepare for wildland fires, training for transit emergencies, and is launching a major cardiac campaign targeted at high-risk populations. TVF&R also participates in numerous community events and taught nearly 2,000 Tualatin kids and families about fire safety this year. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue really is Tualatin's fire department. The city's operations and maintenance department includes maintaining the city's buildings, the water and sewer system citywide, as well as over 300 acres of parks, greenways, and natural areas. We maintain a city street maintenance system that keeps road services quality at over 95 or better on a scale of 1 to 100. Our stormwater crews maintain 3,345 catch basins, 65 stormwater retention facilities, and over 3,600 sewer manholes. The city delivers from 3.5 million to 6.9 million gallons of water per day, depending upon the time of year, from our water source at the Bull Run Reservoir in the Mount Hood National Forest in the Columbia well fields. We also operate an aquifer storage and recovery system, providing about 100 million gallons of added summer water capacity by storing the excess winter water from the times when it's raining. That's stored underground in south part of Tualatin. Through the work of hundreds of volunteers, a dedicated city staff, and the generous corporate sponsors in our community, we stage many community events throughout the year, including library and recreation, youth and adult programs, starry nights and holiday lights, and the renowned Pumpkin Regatta.
That hundreds of employees who work here, we encourage and they enjoy volunteering in the community. In a given year, our employees put in about 500 hours that we know of, that they tell us about, just volunteering. Very active participation. These are organizations that include tree planting, schools, youth sports, churches, you name it. Also, though, we try to share some of what we make, some of the income this community provides, and give it back. We're one of the primary sponsors of the Crawfish Festival, another neat thing about Tualatin, where you can bring the whole community together like that every summer for a couple of days. So we're really happy to do it, and we think that strengthens the community. And if you have a stronger community, it's going to be better for everybody.
Oh, I love volunteering. It's fun, it's rewarding, it's challenging. It allows you an opportunity to meet with a lot of people that you wouldn't ordinarily cross paths with. Wonderful retirees, there's great youth, individuals in the library, and just overall a mixture of so many different people from different walks of life.
Our community really wouldn't function if it weren't for the tremendous partnerships that exist here. We annually are blessed with more than 38,000 hours in myriad endeavors of volunteers ranging from planting nearly 10,000 trees per year, serving meals in our community center, maintaining inventories in the library, serving on various advisory councils, boards, and commissions. Notable among these are the 20-some members of the Tualatin Youth Advisory Council. This group of teens provides summer movies on the Commons, a safe haunted house at Halloween. They serve younger kids at various community events, and they advise the City Council on issues from a youth perspective. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out 6 very key volunteers in our community, and that's your Tualatin City Council, consisting of Council President Monique Beichman, Ed Truax, Frank Bubenek, Joelle Davis, Nancy Grimes, Wade Brooksby, collectively have invested nearly 50 years of service to this community at many hours per week. And when you see them, tip your hat to them. Another key partner is the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce.
Our role is to promote, educate, and advocate for the business community, but the Chamber takes that one step forward. We love to promote the entire community, and in fact our motto is business and community working together. When people have a job, they're able to take care of their families, and then those families in turn can take care of others. So we think it's just a perfect relationship.
I joined the Chamber 12 or 13 years ago when I started integrity staffing, and at first it was one of those things where you pay your dues, you get your plaque, you hang it up, and you go, I'm a member, check. And then I realized that that really is kind of a passive way of doing things, and I got very little out of it, as anyone would. It'd be like joining a gym and not going. Whereas now and particularly with Tualatin Life, I wanted to be more engaged with the community. So I'm a avid member. I go to most everything. I go to the weekly Friday networking things. I go to the lunches on a monthly basis. And I decided to become a board member because I wanted to have more involvement.
Our chamber here is very, very strong, and I belong to 6. As I explained, I try to give back to the communities that support us. And in particular, Tualatin and Linda have taken this striving to businesses helping community. And that is a huge key factor and especially we have some great industrial land, some very large businesses that have come in, which we didn't have 10 years ago. So we're really lucky to have that stability, especially in an economy like we're experiencing.
Tualatin is a great place to run a business. I love everybody that I engage with. It's been such a positive experience the last 7 years. Before I started working in Tualatin, I barely knew who city government was, what the city council did, how to volunteer. And since I've been here and I've had the ability to learn about true community involvement and how exciting and fulfilling it can be to be involved.
The Chamber also produces the Tualatin Crawfish Festival.
This celebration's over 60 years old. We're just honored to have it. There's great music, there's great food, it's a huge community affair, and it brings out the best of us. Every nonprofit uses it as a major source of fundraising, so we see it as just a win-win for everyone. And we love the tourism. They come to shop, they come to eat, they come to play, and then they like to stay all night in our hotels.
This year marks the 62nd Tualatin Crawfish Festival. This festival is quite possibly the most important event within the city. So if you want to find out what real crawfish celebration is like, come to the Tualatin Crawfish Festival the second weekend in August, beginning on Friday night. Our chamber recently created the Regatta Run.
It's a scholarship fundraiser for the Corporal Matthew Lemke Memorial Scholarship Fund, in which this year we raised over $13,000 of scholarships to be given out to graduating high school seniors.
If you haven't seen a giant pumpkin boat race, you haven't been to the Tualatin Pumpkin Regatta. The Northwest Giant Vegetable Growers Association bring their prize harvest to the Lake of the Commons each fall to compete in a weigh-off, and then carve those Volkswagen-sized gourds into precarious watercrafts, which are piloted by daring, if not fun-loving, maybe even foolhardy competitors. I know, I've done it. Our chamber also created Fit City. The Fit City Challenge focuses on workplace health and community health and helps springboard those efforts into our Fit Kids program aimed at reducing childhood obesity.
Well, Fit City is really interesting because it started out as a kind of a national program, and there was a sports trainer in the area who thought, oh, we should get involved in this. And it originally started out as kind of a challenge like they have on some of these reality shows like Biggest Loser or something like that, where this community walked this many more hours a year and lost this many more pounds, and that's kind of how it started. Through the Chamber of Commerce, the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce, there's a number of different businesses, mostly small businesses, but not completely small. Our current chair for Fit City is actually a public relations liaison from Legacy, Meridian Park. And we just started collaborating on what are ways that we can encourage people to pursue a healthier lifestyle.
Some of these partnerships have come out like the Fit City. We also did some of our own challenges around here with our employees, a number of community education classes. So I think continuing to work together and to look at how we can combine some of our resources has been very instrumental in making Tualatin a more healthy community.
And speaking of healthy eating, this year saw a record attendance of the expanded Tualatin Farmers Market.
Last year alone, we had over 900 volunteer hours from community members. We had 5 different organizations within the community supporting the market. In addition, we also had city staff who would drop by almost every week, the operations department, and say, hey, how's it going? What do you need? Does the electricity work? So we have had such incredible support from the city of Tualatin, as well as 30 plus volunteers that it took to put on the market this year. You know, it's funny, another part of the vision for Tualatin Tomorrow, people said that they were looking for a sense of community within Tualatin, a place to gather. So, the farmers market provides, I think, a great place to see your neighbors. And I think that the ability for people to connect with friends and connect with community and know that they're a bigger part of something really contributes to a healthy, happy community.
The financial and in-kind support of nearly 20 sponsors made this a reality in Tualatin. Another signature event of the city of Tualatin is the Tualatin Art Splash. This is a partnership between the city, the Arts Advisory Council, and scores of local artists. They annually produce a weekend art show at the Commons, which attracts hundreds of folks who admire and purchase the multitude of art media available. We also partner with Loaves and Fishes and many more volunteers to operate a thriving Juanita Pohl Community Center. Originally a senior center built over 25 years ago, the Pohl Center has evolved into an adult and family center offering lunches, programs, entertainment, fitness and education to seniors and more. We also stage our daily volunteer-driven Meals on Wheels from the Pohl Center. And this year, thanks to a federal grant of nearly $450,000, the Pohl Center is being expanded and enhanced, and construction is slated to be completed this spring. Another key partner is the Tualatin Heritage Center and the Tualatin Historical Society. Now, the Heritage Center houses precious artifacts of Tualatin's natural and community history. But beyond that, the center is a thriving locus of activities ranging from pioneer days for elementary schoolers to a theater for our local performing arts, frequent presentations by historical experts, a headquarters for the Tualatin Historical Society, and a community meeting room for a long list of users. It has been a very successful public-private partnership. Recently, the Tualatin Historical Society and the Chamber of Commerce successfully secured 2 grants for the promotion of tourism through the unique findings in Tualatin from the Ice Age.
So we have an area that is rich in Ice Age documents and hills and valleys and rocks and ancient animals. So we have an opportunity in Tualatin that nobody else has to tell this story about the Ice Age. Thank goodness for the kids with the dinosaur interest. It's caused people to become interested in something that's been undiscovered for a long time.
These grants are being used to develop that tourism plan. So look for Tualatin to be a tourist destination in the coming years for Ice Age wonder. I'm very pleased and proud to tell you about a citizen-based, city-supported initiative that was implemented in Tualatin this past year. The Citizen Involvement Organization was conceived and developed by a group of avid neighbors who wanted to improve communications and participation between neighborhoods and city government.
The Citizen Involvement Program, or CIO, is basically neighborhood associations, and neighborhood associations are prevalent in many, many cities in Oregon. The skeleton of a CIO is basically it's a communication system. It allows neighbors to talk to neighbors more easily, and it allows citizens then to interact with their government more easily. Tualatin values its citizens, and I have come to appreciate and understand that the greatest asset of Tualatin is not our buildings, it's not our jobs, it's not our roads, it is us, it is the citizens. That is our greatest asset. And as we're moving forward, planning our transportation system, planning for future jobs, I hope that the Tualatin government and the CIOs and the members of those CIOs put the primary focus on the impact on citizens and not on the infrastructure.
The community means everything. It's the backbone, the soul of a neighborhood. And you can't have anything happening, just growth, if you don't have an ambiance and a character to the areas that you live in.
Any organization that was there primarily to enhance communication between the city and its people, if we can help them get a better pulse, they can better government and get it right. It's a nice circular relationship that I think benefits all. So I was a huge believer in that and want to be behind that all the way.
These folks are spokespeople for their neighborhoods to the city and to the city council. And they also serve as a distribution network for disseminating information, plans, programs, and requests for input from the city to the neighborhoods. The efficiency and effectiveness of our city is due in no small part to your city staff.
The city staff, first and foremost. Without them, every time we come in and have a request, they happily help us out, and we couldn't do this without the city staff.
I had a branch fall that out of nowhere last week, and I called the city at 9:13, and I tell the gals, I said, you watch, we'll have a truck here in less than 30 minutes, and they laughed. Well, at 9:20, it was ridiculous. A truck rolls up. And I go out and I say, hey, I'm so glad you're here. And the guy goes, oh yeah, we always, I was nearby, I want to get it taken care of, it was dangerous, blah, blah, blah. And, and I kidded with him that we can get service from the city quicker than you can get a pizza.
In government, you're doing so many different things. And so people are accessing you at various points for various services. And so the staff in any governmental entity has to be very nimble, very quick, very clever. And I would say, and I've said that many times, they're the best and the brightest. These are folks who don't get lots of kudos for what they do, and yet they're the first line of any problem, they're the last line of any solution, and it's a very necessary service that they perform, and I think that we need to say thank you often, and that we appreciate their service.
We are fortunate to have 139 experienced, dedicated, and extremely knowledgeable folks working for you. They hold themselves accountable to make sure Tualatin performs at the highest levels and gives you the most value for your tax dollar. So what really makes this community a great place to live, work, and play?
Tualatin has good leadership at the community level, at the government level. They're all approachable. They listen.
It's big enough to have plenty to do, but small enough to feel like it has its own identity.
I feel like this is a time where we're coming together to really shape what the next 20 years are going to look like.
It's been the last few years that this sense of community has been evolving, and people have been becoming more active in the civic affairs of their city, and I think that's only a good thing.
Well, there's a great reservoir of good community feeling here, and I think we just have to tap it and work with it.
What truly makes Tualatin the greatest city south of the North Pole is you. And thank you for all that you do.